PR Connections Radio presents.
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And on this edition of Vegas Hockey Hub, we are going to do something a little bit different as we are going to stay in Las Vegas, but we are going to shift over to Allegiant Stadium and we are going to talk about WrestleMania. That's going to be here in Las Vegas this upcoming April. And since it is the end of September and there is a few months away from WrestleMania, I wanted to do something a bit creative, but also a little bit different. I'm going to be doing my prediction for WrestleMania 41 here in Las Vegas. I'm going to have 7 matches for day 1, 7 matches for day 2. And I'm essentially going to give you what I see happening when it comes to the match card, with being a 2-day event on a Saturday and Sunday. And we'll also kind of talk about the Golden Knights and also as well, because there could be a possibility of the Vegas Golden Knights and WrestleMania being around the same time, but I want to talk about that later in the show. But yeah, I just wanted to take this fun little video and talk about my love for wrestling and kind of talk about what I'm going to predict WrestleMania 41 is going to be here in Las Vegas. Now, to start this off, we're going to do day 1, which will be on Saturday. And it's going to be really interesting having to kind of predict this, because WrestleMania, and based off of what we saw in Los Angeles 2 years ago, based on what we saw in, WrestleMania 40, which was the last WrestleMania before this one, you've had essentially a 2-day event where they tried to even out the main events and the co-main events. But then before that, I'm going to be blatantly honest with you, day 1, the matches that are not the main event or co-main event have always felt like they were just kind of the middle of the card on a regular 1-day WrestleMania. And then day 2 really feels like those were like the first 2 or 3 matches and then the last 2 or 3 matches on a regular WrestleMania kind of thing. But with day 1, it being Saturday, would be the start of WrestleMania weekend for WWE. Now, to kick off the day 1, we're going to start out with the IC title, and this is going to be a fatal 4-way. Now, with this being a upper mid-card to mid-card title, I would be very shocked if WWE did not do a fatal 4-way type of situation, trying to include as many people on the card, trying to get them involved at WrestleMania here in Vegas. Now, currently, Braun Breaker is the IC title winner. I know that him and Jey Uso are supposed to be having a match on Monday Night Raw coming up, so we'll see what happens there. I would be very shocked if Braun Breaker does not retain there. But with Braun Breaker, him being such a young and upcoming talent, someone who WWE has put a lot of time and effort into building up the last couple of years, I would be very shocked if he doesn't go into WrestleMania 41 all the way up until April. Once again, this is September. We're trying to book all the way up to April. But with Braun Breaker, him having a long IC title reign would make sense. Jey Uso really has become a fan favorite over the last couple of months. 4 letters, 1 word, yeet. Now, when it comes to Jey Uso, I really think that he is kind of ascending into that upper mid-card, maybe even main event tier down the road eventually. And considering that he has been in the IC title picture for the last few months, I would be very surprised if he doesn't end up in a fatal four-way for the IC title. So I'm going to put him here. Dominic Mysterio, who has really elevated himself the last couple of years with the Dirty Dom gimmick, him having the Judgment Day around him. And considering that, I'm going to spoil this real quick, I don't have the Judgment Day doing, a 6-man tag or an 8-man tag here on WrestleMania. I have every member of the Judgment Day doing something different, kind of, their own solo-ish project here at WrestleMania. Having Dominic Mysterio be in the IC title picture does seem like a good situation for WrestleMania 41. And then having an established veteran like AJ Styles, someone who has won the IC title before, someone who's held that title in previous years, I think that would be a real good look for WWE. So I'm predicting the Fatal 4-Way to start day one of WrestleMania 41. And that would be Braun Breaker, AJ Styles, Jey Uso, and Dirty Dom, Dominic Mysterio. And that would be a real good way to kick off the card. And I will say that when it comes to Jey Uso, him being the popular pick and him really getting the crowd and the fanfare, I would say Jey Uso winning this title at WrestleMania 41, getting the pop of the crowd, would make a lot of sense there. So yeah, Fatal 4-Way, Braun Breaker would enter as IC champion, and probably Jey Uso would leave and exit up the ramp as IC champion. Now, match number 2, when it comes to day one of WrestleMania 41, I am going to predict the breakup of the New Day, one of the most decorated tag teams in WWE history, and that is Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. Now, I'm just going to, call it how I see it. New Day has gotten stale the last 2 years. I mean, ever since the injury of Big E, the fact that Big E is not back in a WWE ring, the fact that he's doing a pre-show commentary for WWE, it just really hasn't been working. New Day has not really been that tag team success as of the past few months. So I will not be shocked if around Royal Rumble season, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, Xavier turns on Kofi, or Kofi turns on Xavier. Now, I've always said that Xavier Woods is better as a heel compared to Kofi. Kofi Kingston has kind of always been that natural babyface in WWE. So, I mean, this would be, a maybe 7 to 8 minute match, but having the members of New Day face off on day one of WrestleMania would make a lot of sense. And having, depending on what route you want to go, you can either have the babyface win, which means Kofi that can, he can pin Xavier Woods, or if you want to establish a heel, have Xavier Woods beat Kofi. But it would be best for business to have the New Day go their separate ways, just because they don't have Big E anymore, and they just haven't really gotten any of those moments, that big pop, as of late. So that would be my match 2. That would be the breakup of the New Day. Now, speaking of breakups, and when it comes to stables having their own version of a breakup, Damage Control, having them a triple threat match at WrestleMania 41, Asuka, Io Sky, and Kairi Sane. Now, there's going to be some people who are not going to want this to happen, and I'm aware that there's going to be members of the internet wrestling community that will think that having Io Sky be in a triple threat match with Asuka and Kairi Sane would kind of be beneath her, just because, Io Sky's really been developing herself over the last couple of months as a, solo, picking up wins on Raw and stuff like that. But when it comes to Damage Control, I really believe that having a triple threat match, breaking up the stable, Bayley, they did that stuff with her, last WrestleMania. You also had the fact that, Dakota Kai, that situation there. I just think that it's time for Damage Control to go their separate ways, kind of similar to my logic with a New Day. is having Damage Control have their natural breakup. Asuka can be the heel, Io can be the babyface, and Kairi could be the babyface, or Io Sky and Kairi Sane can turn on Asuka. Those two could be heel, and Asuka could be the babyface. But what I will say with this triple threat match is whoever the babyface is will pick up the victory here. So whoever was the person that gets turned on, they are going to win this match. Now, I'm going to predict here that I think that is going to be Kairi Sane. That is going to be the babyface, Io Sky, kind of the tweener at this point, and then Asuka being the full heel. But Kairi Sane picks up the victory, pins Asuka, and will win the triple threat here at WrestleMania 41. So dream matches down on day one. Now let's get into what I would call the fourth match, and this is kind of the last. I'm not going to say filler, but I'm just going to say that this is going to be a match that some people are not going to be really excited for, and then there's going to be some fans that are going to want to see a nice 10-minute match, and that is going to be the Judgment Day, who are the World Tag Team Champions, Finn Balor and JD McDonough, going up against the War Raiders of Eric and Ivar. Now, from a wrestling perspective, they actually have had some good chemistry in the past. They've had some solid wrestling matches on Raw. But when it comes to the World Tag Team titles, having that defended at WrestleMania, they were broken up last WrestleMania. They split the World Tag Team titles and the WWE Tag Team titles. And for Finn Balor and JD McDonough, ever since they won the tag team titles a few months ago, they've really kind of established themselves as the best tag team on Raw. So I would say this would be, about a 10-minute match. Finn Balor, JD McDonough, they defend their titles and they retain for the Judgment Day, and they end up keeping the World Tag Team titles within the Judgment Day. Now, for the fifth match on day one, we're going to go with the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther, who has won that championship, after the whole Damian Priest situation, him moving on from the IC title earlier this year, and has finally won the world title and really kind of started out that run, with an interesting situation. I mean, we all know about the Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk fiasco. Gunther taking advantage of the King of the Ring and becoming the world champion about a month ago. But with Gunther, you really need to keep the world title on him all the way till WrestleMania 41. Would be very shocked if they did strip him of that belt. And if they did, it probably would be because of, maybe Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, maybe giving it to CM Punk and having him feud with Drew McIntyre. I could maybe see that as like the blow-off match there. But overall, Gunther is one of the most talented, in-ring wrestlers in the world. And what I'm going to predict here, and hear me out, some people are going to call me crazy. I don't care. We're going to be playing it back and doing a repeat of WrestleMania 40, except this is going to be for the world title and not the IC title. I'm predicting that Sami Zayn, who beat Gunther to end his historic Intercontinental title reign earlier this year, I will say that this time it will be for the World Heavyweight Championship, and Sami Zayn will win his first ever World Heavyweight Championship, and he will defeat Gunther and the whole story is going to be that Gunther will try to get revenge for WrestleMania 40. And Sami Zayn being the ultimate underdog, for him being the biggest, underdog that WWE has had in recent years. Really the first one since Daniel Bryan about a decade ago. I will say the storyline is that Sami Zayn is going to overcome the odds, overcome the obstacle once again, and he will be the guy that Gunther just cannot defeat at WrestleMania. And Sami Zayn will be the World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania 41. Now, when we're talking about this day one, WrestleMania 41 on Saturday, I have to get into the two main event matches. And I understand that there's going to be some people who are going to majorly disagree with me on this. That's fine if you do. But here is what my prediction for the co-main event and the main event of day one for WrestleMania 41. Now, for the co-main event, this has been a long overdue. The amount of times that Seth Rollins has interrupted CM Punk since he has returned to the company. The storyline has been built for really the last, 12 months in WWE. And that is the fact that you have CM Punk and Seth Rollins, two guys who just absolutely hate each other. They cannot stand each other. And this has been a long overdue WrestleMania match. I understand that it should have been last year, but CM Punk, him getting hurt right before WrestleMania 40, Seth Rollins having his injury problems at WrestleMania 40, but still put on two stellar matches. One on day one and then one on day two at WrestleMania 40. But when it comes to a CM Punk and Seth Rollins situation, what I'm going to predict is that once CM Punk and Drew McIntyre have finished their story, which will most likely be at SummerSlam, unless they up the stakes and they do, another pay-per-view like Survivor Series later on at the end of the year. Once CM Punk and Drew McIntyre wrap up, you immediately start hyping up this CM Punk and Seth Rollins. And what I'm going to predict is that after weeks and weeks and weeks of CM Punk attacking Seth Rollins, of Seth Rollins attacking CM Punk, they can attack each other in the crowd. They can attack themselves backstage. They can attack each other in the parking lot. You're going to set up a Vegas street fight between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Essentially, this is going to be a fight all over Allegiant Stadium. They're going to be fighting in the concourse. They're going to be fighting near the entrance ramp. They're going to be fighting in the ring. They're going to be fighting out the ring. They're going to be fighting near the announce table. This should be a 20-minute car crash, all right, here in Las Vegas. And the only reason why I have it as a co-main event and not the main event is because there's going to be one match that will surpass this. There's going to be one match that is needed to be done in April. And this will be a match that has been long overdue. This has been a match that was already set up this past WrestleMania. And if this doesn't go a half hour, I will be very shocked. Your tribal chief, your OTC, Roman Reigns, going up against the final boss, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Just trying to picture this from a fan perspective. Ever since Roman Reigns entered the WWE, ever since he started, getting all of his major pushes around 2013, 2014, we all remember the 2015 Royal Rumble when The Rock comes out, helps Roman Reigns win the Royal Rumble in 2015. And then with Roman Reigns doing his heel turn earlier this year, him doing the final boss, him teaming up with the Bloodline to go up against Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. The story has already been planted. Now, if The Rock cannot do this, I'm saying if WWE for some reason cannot get The Rock to fight Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania 41, then you would have CM Punk and Seth Rollins take the main event spot. and Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa could be lower in the card on day one, but you would still have Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But considering this is WrestleMania, this is, where you go big or go home, WWE should be able to convince The Rock to have a one match in 2025, and that's against Roman Reigns. So this is my day one card once again, just predicting WrestleMania 41. The first match would be Fatal 4-Way for the IC title, Braun Breaker, Jey Uso, Dominic Mysterio, and AJ Styles. Then after that, you'd have the breakup of the New Day, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods. You would have the Damage Control breakup, the triple threat, Asuka, Io Sky, and Kairi Sane. Match 4 would be for the World Tag Team titles, the Judgment Day of Finn Balor and JD McDonough, going up against the War Raiders of Eric and Ivar. Match 5 would be a rematch of WrestleMania 40, this time for the world title, Sami Zayn and Gunther. The co-main event would be a Vegas street fight between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. And then match 7, the main event, would be your tribal chief going up against the final boss, Roman Reigns and The Rock. Now, I will say, for anybody who's still watching, let me know if you think that's a good card or not, if you think it's a bad card, if there's any changes you would make, let me know. Now, getting into day 2, which would be Sunday of WrestleMania 41, and this card is going to be a little more evenly booked, so with day 1, I have a lot of, singles matches, tag matches on that day 1. Then you have the 3 blockbuster matches to kind of end day 1. With day 2, my goal is pretty much to have a more even out, kind of a more paced day 2 at WrestleMania 41 here in Las Vegas. But to start this out, I will say the opening match will be a Fatal 4-Way for the United States title. Since there is a Fatal 4-Way to open up day 1 for the IC title, it is fair to have a Fatal 4-Way to open up day 2 for the United States title. And I think this could be a very solid 15-minute match. LA Knight, fan favorite. A lot of fans are behind him. You also have Damian Priest, the former World Heavyweight Champion. You have to have him be on the card. Drew McIntyre, with his story that he has had with CM Punk, you have to have him be on the card. And then you have a rising star in Carmelo Hayes. So what I'm predicting here is in a similar way compared to what I did with the IC title, where you had to have Dominic Mysterio, you had to have Jey Uso, and you had to have Braun Breaker on the card. I'm predicting that you have to have Damian Priest, you have to have Drew McIntyre, and you have to have LA Knight. Now, who do I have winning the United States title here? I'm going to predict that Drew McIntyre will, and this is pretty much based off of rewarding him for the excellent story that he has had in 2024, winning Money in the Bank, him having this long feud with CM Punk. I say that Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania 41 here in Las Vegas to start the show, he wins the United States title and picks up the victory here. That would be my prediction there. Now, the second match, this one kind of is obvious, I hate to be honest, but ever since Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill were teamed up together and them doing tag teams and them having, this, friendship, it kind of is hinting at what we're going to be getting to at WrestleMania. Bianca Belair, she turns on Jade Cargill. Bianca, kind of a better heel in NXT. We've seen her be a heel before. And then Jade Cargill being the baby face that she's been for the last year and a half. So, I'd say that Bianca Belair, she will put over Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill picks up the victory. And they still find a way to pretty much push Jade Cargill as the future of women's wrestling here in WWE. But yeah, I would say this one right here would be a fair match. I think this would be, a good, 5 minute, 7 minute match kind of ordeal. I think that when it comes to Jade Cargill, she's not at the level yet where she can have a 20-minute match. But Bianca Belair should be good enough to have a quality match with her. Now, on day one, I talked about the World Tag Team titles. Well, now it's time to get into the WWE Tag Team titles. The Gorillas of Destiny, the Bloodline, Tama Tonga, and Tangaloa, those two being one of the most decorated tag teams in New Japan Pro Wrestling, them being brought over during the Bloodline story with Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Now, as much as I would love to have Solo or Jacob be on the card, having them be the managers or them being part of Gorillas of Destiny, that's the best I can do here. Street Profits, one of the best tag teams on SmackDown, would kind of make sense to have the Street Profits go up against Gorillas of Destiny. I understand some people are going to say, what about DIY? What about, insert tag team here? I'm just going to do a simple tag match. Gorillas of Destiny, Street Profits, and I have the Street Profits sending the fans home happy. They pick up the tag team titles over the Gorillas of Destiny. On match 4 for the WWE title, the WWE Women's Championship, I'm gonna have Nia Jax taking on Tiffany Stratton. Now, as of this recording, Nia Jax is the women's champion. Tiffany Stratton is the Money in the Bank winner. I'm going to predict that within now and April, Tiffany Stratton is going to betray Nia. She's going to cash in on Nia Jax, and that's what sets up this match. Now, with this match here, I really think that this could be a good 15-minute match. Nia Jax does very well at putting people over, and I think Tiffany Stratton kind of begins her title reign with a successful tenure and a successful defense here at WrestleMania 41. Now, this is going to be an absolute bloodbath, and this will be the payoff match of about 6 to 8 months of booking. But I have Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Rhea Ripley will defeat Liv Morgan to win the Women's World title. And like I said, this is pretty much paying off a full calendar year of story booking here in WWE. This will be a solid 20-minute match. I'd be shocked if it was anything less. And overall, I think that Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan have shown good chemistry before, and they would have a solid match here. Now, the final 2 matches of WrestleMania 41, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm trying to figure out if, one of them should be the co-main event and the other one should be the main event. But the way I'm going to be structuring this is that your co-main event, his final WrestleMania match of his career, I have the GOAT, the greatest of all time, John Cena, the 16-time WWE champion, going up against the Maverick, going up against the internet sensation, Logan Paul. Now, there's going to be some people who are going to hate this match, and rightfully I understand why. But you have to remember what WrestleMania is. You have to remember that WrestleMania is a celebrity-induced pay-per-view. And Logan Paul has really kind of earned his stripes the last few WrestleManias. He had the WrestleMania this past year with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. And then you also had, Seth Rollins, when he had the thing at, WrestleMania in LA. So with Logan Paul having enough WrestleMania matches under his belt, I have a 20-minute salute farewell tour to John Cena. And I say that he picks up the victory here. He beats Logan Paul in his final WrestleMania match, and he gets a standing ovation from the crowd. Him being the ultimate babyface, obviously that's the situation there. But your main event, and this is going to be a half-hour match, and I have no doubt that this could be a 5-star match because the story has been told. The story has already been built for this. I have Randy Orton with Kevin Owens in his corner going up against the WWE champion Cody Rhodes. And my prediction is that you have a babyface Randy with a babyface Kevin Owens, and then you have a heel Cody Rhodes as the WWE champion. And this is going to be a 30-minute match. And then at the end of WrestleMania, Randy Orton will hit some insane RKO, and Randy Orton will win the WWE Championship in the main event of WrestleMania. So that is my prediction. Let me know what you think. And once again, this is Vegas Hockey Hub. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele, and have a good one.